Wow, what a year it's been. 2020 has been a roller coaster of challenges and triumphs that has left many of us feeling more isolated at times and yet more connected than ever. This year, NFCC saw major milestones, including the creation of the Nickfinnegan Counseling Center Foundation and another record-breaking month of clients served this summer. Affordable mental health counseling is even more important now than ever before.
Thank God the Counseling Center was a strong organization before the pandemic rocked our world. While we've all been tested this year, NFCC has passed that test with flying colors. And knowing that Nick is a part of something that is bringing comfort and stability to so many people during this vulnerable time feels so good. We are excited for you to see how the team at the Nickfinnegan Counseling Center was able to make mental health care even more accessible in the midst of a global shutdown.
Houston is a resilient city and will emerge from this pandemic even stronger, just like we did after Hurricane Harvey.
And we cannot thank you enough for your continued support for the NFCC. Let's take a look at what's going on now.
I've noticed and I've heard a few people comment on was, at least in Harvey, even though it was everyone you knew in Houston was dealing with it, you could still call a friend who lived in another state and have a conversation about something not related to that, which was kind of a nice brain vacation. Whereas with this, everyone on the planet is experiencing it in some way. And then I'd also say with the pandemic piece, in hurricanes, one thing, I've lived in Houston for, 25 years. Like, one thing with hurricanes that, not that I like hurricanes, but you always have that really strong community bond afterwards. Like, power goes out, neighbors are pulling out all their frozen meats and like grilling, or like, you're coming together, you're like teaming up to go like demo houses and help people out and all this other stuff. And even though those are really difficult and stressful circumstances, there's something that's really healing and empowering and psychologically beneficial from that coming together and being able to physically do something. And I'd say that's actually one of the most challenging things about the pandemic, is that very specific thing of coming together and being able to physically do a thing that makes a visible difference isn't an option, right? Because one, there's not a lot of things we can do that like very physically make a difference. One of the only things that we can do is the very opposite of coming together, right? It's like staying apart. And so doing that for such a sustained period of time it's kind of like having a slow drip tap, just draining, some psychological energy in the background, for a sustained period of time. And so it's just a lot. And it's been a challenge for sure.
I think what coronavirus has taught us is a whole lot of flexibility. We have had so many changes happen in the last few months that as an organization, we have had to adapt quickly. And I think what the future looks like is still unknown, but I do know that we're going to have to be flexible and we will remain focused on our clients. And so if that means we offer a HIPAA protected telehealth option for years to come, because our community as a whole is not comfortable gathering in spaces together again, then that's what we're going to do, because we want to continue to just focus our efforts on providing the best affordable and accessible care that we possibly can to the community.
There was already a presence of telehealth in the mental health field already, but it's never been used at the level that it's been used at this year. It's been a really, really impactful and important tool. It's enabled us to continue to see clients, continue to provide services. Some clients actually like it better than in person, which is really interesting. And it's been a big shift, even to the point that like insurance companies have approved telehealth services across the board for most of this whole year, whereas previously they were spotty with whether they would cover it or not. So it's been a lot of big shifts, but in my opinion, in a lot of positive ways, because it's allowed that mental health piece to be so much more accessible to so many more people in the midst of unprecedented levels of change and limiting of options of going in person to places and that sort of thing, but also in a situation that is incredibly psychologically challenging to be in. So it's been a really, really important and useful thing to be able to continue to support people, even in the midst of something as crazy as this whole pandemic year.
So my name is Todd Greenwalt, and currently I serve as the chair of the Nickfinnegan Counseling Center Foundation.
So why do you think it was important for the Nickfinnegan Counseling Center to officially create its own foundation?
It's difficult for me, after such a long time being a lawyer, to think of things other than through a lawyer's eyes or a lawyer's brain. But to me, it's pretty simple. The foundation offers another giving platform for donors, and in particular, it offers a platform for donors who may be concerned or otherwise hesitant to make gifts directly to a church, St. Luke's in this case, and it may be in the case of some donors that are also charitable organizations. They may simply have policy conditions that they need to fulfill, and it's not unusual for some of those policy conditions to be a prohibition or severe limits on direct gifts to churches or other religious organizations. And so establishing the foundation to be an alternate giving platform, if you will, that supports the counseling center, to me just made sense.
As a nonprofit, we rely on our donors' support, and even though we've had to cancel events, they have continued to support us from afar, and we're so thankful for that.
We've seen during the pandemic a number of organizations that have been nimble and have adjusted quickly. The counseling center is clearly one of those. I mean, the ability to continue to serve existing clients, but also to make our services available to new clients. And considering the conditions, the fact that there may be new clients comes as no surprise to anyone. But the other information that we've been able to make generally available for free, the websites and things that people can go and download or view on our website, on the counseling center's website, I think are an extremely important resource, especially during these times. And again, it just stresses the importance of mental health care and the need for accessible mental health care.
So last year and early this year, there had been a lot of conversations among Mary Elizabeth and myself and our board around ways that we can actually make mental health accessible to the community. And that includes not only counseling, but also training and education and information. And so one of the ways that we did that was by coming up with a plan to offer a mental health toolkit. We shifted the content to be a little more pandemic specific, of like if you're isolated in your house or you're overwhelmed with big changes or different things like that.
Over the last year, our social media engagement has grown tremendously. And since the coronavirus, we have created a resource page on our website that has free outreach talks and videos and articles so that we can offer education in a way that's really easily accessible for the community. What do you think, just in your professional role, why do you think that an organization like NFCC is going to be so imperative to have around as the city continues to survive this coronavirus pandemic?
For a lot of people, the Nickfinnegan Counseling Center is really, only may not be the accurate word, but it's clearly the best alternative to accessing high quality mental health services. I mean, the services that the counseling center provides are on par with the kinds of mental health care counseling services available at high priced practices. And a lot of people can't afford high priced practices or are covered by insurance with limitations on either the aggregate or the number of visits or other financial constraints that make it important for them to have the ability to go to someplace like the counseling center where services are affordable. And the fact of the matter is that other than the counseling center, there are few, if any, affordable options for truly high quality mental health care services.
Mental health is going to be a huge piece of the puzzle as we continue to survive this virus and once the city begins the recovery process. But it's not going to just be our community, it's going to be global. We are going to feel the effects of this virus on our emotional and mental health for years to come. And I really hope that the Counseling Center will be able to continue to be a pillar of strength for our community to rely on.